also many student faculty members here. So let's follow the IEEE presentation from Professor Saifur Rahman this morning. Thank you very much.
Yeah, already we can use this one for forward this one, yeah, backward, and this is for the playback. This is on.
Good to visit you again after so many years. I was in Indonesia in 2018 before COVID. Now I'm back. So this talk today is focusing on climate change, which everybody can understand. So this is coming up. I'm doing next. No signal.
Try one more.
Okay, good. I want to point out something to you. One is, you see below my name as a website, srahman.org. That's my personal website. When I give a talk like this, I typically publish my lecture, PowerPoint slides on my website. So you don't need to take pictures. This is the case. You go to my website now, you see the top part, that's me and IEEE president, and then the place called webinar. Click on that one, you'll see this page. There's the slide deck right here. So all the data, all the pictures, everything is public. I'm an open source person. You'll see the talk gave in Jakarta a couple of years back, Malaysia, all of those are on this website now. Okay, now, before we talk about climate change, we have to know what is carbonization. Without knowing what is carbonization, you cannot talk about decarbonization. You carbonize first, then you decarbonize. So what is carbonization? This is the global CO2 concentration going back 800,000 years back. 800,000 years back. You see the numbers ranging from roughly here, 800 to 1,000 to today. You may ask me the question, how do we know what was the CO2 concentration in the North Pole that many years ago? We had no human beings, no sensors, no computers. How do we know that? It's a good question. If you think about it, it's not that difficult. Northern hemisphere, North Pole, is no pollution there, just air. Air has moisture. Gets cold, the moisture in the air becomes snow. Snow falls on the ground. Over the years, the snow layer goes up every year, maybe a centimeter or so. We know how many years it takes for 1 meter of snow to be built. With that information, we know how far we have to go down, maybe 30 meters, to find the ice that was formed in 800,000 years back. Because ice cube, bring it into the lab, melt it, then the moisture comes out. Then do a spectroscopy to see what is in there. CO2, water, methane, not methane there, nitrogen oxide, things of that type. That's how I know this. They've done this study for the last 800,000 years. You see the numbers range from 180 to 260 parts per million, up and down slowly because of the global change. Beginning the late 1700s, it began to be positive, and 1950 or so, it is very steep, like a vertical line. What happened in the 50s in the world? We began to burn coal for power stations in large numbers. That's how the CO2 is so high. That's the reason. Now let me go back. More detailed information, more recent. You see the pink line is a CO2 concentration parts per million, and the blue line is CO2 emission per year, every year. Go back to 1750 or so, it was almost zero emission. Beginning late 1800s, we began to become positive, and the CO2 concentration remained under 280, began to exceed 280 by 1870 or so. What happened in 1870? This man, Mr. James Watt, he invented the steam engine. His statue in Glasgow. What does mean? Steam engine runs on what? Not petroleum, coal. That's how we learn to burn large amount of coal. Coal power plant. Before coal power plant, we had trains running on coal. You may not remember this. Black locomotive burning coal. And then I've seen in Bangladesh many, many years ago. That's why it is big. That is why we say coal generation or coal-based generation is a big source of CO2. A lot of pressure on Indonesia now to slow down the coal consumption to reduce CO2 emission. Any country which emits CO2 goes to the sky. It is not only Indonesian CO2. It could be American CO2, Russian CO2, all of that. So we have to be careful where we go from here. That is the reason we are where we are. Okay, now, that is the carbonization issue. What does high CO2 concentration do for you? Look at this picture. This is the delta T compared to global mean temperature change from pre-industrial level change. Pre-industrial level means no coal yet, no coal yet. See the numbers in 1850 till about 1920 or so, plus minus 0.2. No big deal. Beginning 1920s is all positive now. Temperature, delta T. Temperature change from pre-industrial level. Now we are in 2024, 25, we have reached about 1.2 degrees centigrade, 1.2 already. The Paris Climate Change Agreement, Indonesia signed it in 2015, says we should limit to 1.5 degrees centigrade. Beyond that is difficult. By when? By the end of this century, 1.5. We're reaching 1.5 now. So we know we cannot maintain 1.5 by the end of this century. The upper limit is 2 degrees centigrade. Upper limit absolute. If you exceed that, things can be an open, closed loop, cannot control anymore. A very serious issue. Now, this is data from recent data, like last few months. If I compare the temperature change from 1951 till now, 1850 till now, we see it's mostly blue, means delta is negative. Now, last few years, all positive. Hottest July on record in the Northern Hemisphere, we increase in July only 0.5 degrees in 1 month temperature, in 1 month, 0.5 degrees. We exceeded 2.0 in July. Some parts of the world, not on the whole of the earth. That's serious. Now, you see, July 23 marked 47 days of temperature rising. Excuse me. Look at this picture. Here I'm showing, it's not changing. Okay, look at this data, 1951 till 1980 baseline, 1980 till now 40 years or so, data from the global temperature mean. Northern Hemisphere, January through December. Before 23, numbers are pretty close. There's a gap between 23 and the last one is pretty severe, 0.5 degrees. So 23 this year has been the hottest year on record. Now, what does it mean? What is the heat doing to us? It is not just global warming. We have fire, flooding, and drought. Flood and drought are opposite. Too much water, not enough water. That's because of climate change. So this is few pictures that I feel very important. Beijing, China never had flood, never. Because of heavy rain, last August this year, the streets got flooded. With street flooding, you have no way to move around. This is the road signs are half submerged in Beijing. More than 40 people died in Beijing from flood. Never happened. So this is a warning sign. Pakistan, 22 August. Snow melting in the Himalayas. Too much water came down and the river could not handle it. It flooded. That killed over 1,000 people in Pakistan last year. This is in Brazil. Brazil is known for the forest and rain. but never flooding. So point is things are happening where it never happened before. That's the difference. So Libya, this is very serious. Happened September. Heavy rain caused the dam to break for big reservoirs. When the dam broke, water just came down the hills and washed away towns and villages. 7,000 people were killed in Libya. It's a serious issue. Greece is not known for flooding. It's a dry place. The point is things are happening where it never happened before. Flooding in Greece, Brazil, Beijing, Pakistan. Pakistan not known for flooding. Never. Bangladesh is, not Pakistan. So that's the difference. So this is now drought, not enough water. Two examples. On the top left is Italy, bottom right is China. Riverbed is now dry. You don't need a bridge anymore. Just drive over the riverbed. It's good, cheap, but then rains next year, then it's gone again. So it is the diversity, unexpected change that we are facing globally. That's the drought. Now let's talk about forest fires. US West Coast is known for forest fire for a long time, but much more intense. This year, August this year, fire in Hawaii. More than 150 people died in Hawaii. Could not run fast enough. Literally could not run fast enough. Roads are blocked. So this is very different. Look at this picture. Europe last summer, France, Portugal, Germany, Greece, Spain, Italy. These countries are not known for fire. Germany never heard about fire. Now they have. Look at this picture, Northern Africa. They're dry, but not fire. Why is it happening? Because of temperature rise, the air is drier and the leaves are dry. If some lightning happens, it catches fire. There's no moisture in the air because of heat. This is very simple physics, but we have to think about it. What can we do to reduce this? This is Siberia. Siberia to me is snow ice. Fire in Siberia. Again, dry air. Good picture here. Good means not good in sense of good, in sense of the comparison. Greece on the left-hand side, in July this year, see trees all around. Right-hand side, no trees anymore. All burned. So these are green trees, not just dry trees. It's so intense heat, trees with leaves will burn. That's happened in Hawaii, same thing. That's the risk. Now, what can we do as engineers? I work in the power industry. Many of you are from power professors here. There are three main sources of information of CO2 concentration globally. Three sources. One, electric power generation. One is transportation, like cars and ships and airplanes. And third is industry and buildings. One third, roughly, CO2 emissions. I'm focusing here on carbon from our business, power industry. You can do same thing for transportation and factories. Okay, so what I'm proposing here, this was published in IEEE Spectrum, this article, in the issue January 23. If you go there, 2-page article, details are there. So what I'm saying here, I'm saying, sorry, let me go back for a second. I am saying we have to be working hard on what is within our control. That's the important, our control. First of all, to reduce CO2 emission, use less electricity for the same output, energy efficiency. Any room I go to, like this room right now, I can reduce the lighting intensity by 20%. You cannot tell the difference. It saved 10% energy by doing that. So our offices are overlit typically. Office has a light at the window also. Daytime light comes in, more light than you need, but nothing is done. You just keep used to it. This is we call habit change. We have to be sensitive to what we are doing to the global atmosphere by using more electricity than we have to. That's number one. Any country, any society can do it. It's not costly. Second is use low carbon fossil fuel power plants. Indonesia is big on coal. So is China, Vietnam, Indonesia, Thailand. So I know that we cannot shut down coal plants, I know that. If we have to burn coal, two things we can do: burn coal in more efficient power plants so that you reduce the CO2 production. More importantly, we can do what is called direct air capture. We capture CO2 from the air, literally from the air. And that will be helpful, and talk more about that. That's number 2. Wind and solar is not there always. You need storage. Yes, you can use batteries, lithium-ion batteries. Most people do. Those are expensive and takes a lot of space, and also fire hazard. In the US, we don't allow lithium battery in a building. Not allowed. That's why when you go fly, you have a power bank, cannot be in the suitcase. You have to carry. And in China, even more difficult. They give you a limit. I was flying from Beijing last month, on the security check, the power bank is 1,600 milliampere, mAh. Nothing, mine is 10,000 milliamperes. So they didn't read carefully and let me go, but they could have taken it away from me. So that's why lithium battery is not safe. What is done in the US, if you have to use lithium battery storage outside the building, about 15 meters out. It catches fire, let it burn. You never stop the fire. Lithium never stop the fire. So that's the risk. That's why I'm talking about hydrogen storage as a alternative technology for that reason. Next is, obviously, promote more renewables. Hydro, solar, wind, as much as you can. Many countries are doing it now. Number 5, I said, accept some nuclear, not a whole lot. Because of Fukushima, Chernobyl, people don't like nuclear because of risk. It's true. There are now new technologies, small reactors, much safer. So you can consider small reactors as an alternative to building coal-fired power plants. And finally, promote cross-border power transfer. If you share power between countries, give me examples in a few minutes, you are not using so much coal within your country. You buy from somebody who is more hydro. Give me an example in a few minutes. Those are my 6 points. I'd like to draw your attention to 2 things, number 4 and number 5. 4 says, promote more renewables. 5 says, accept some nuclear. I didn't say promote, accept. It's fact of life. So maybe 20 years from now, with more efficient solar panels, we don't need nuclear anymore. For now, nuclear is a clean fuel. So accept it and move on. Okay. So more details. I said this already to some extent. But in my lab, data shows from controlling air conditioning temperature setting, typically meet at 21, 22 typically. If you go to 25 degrees C in the thermostat setting, you save about 20%. But 3 degrees up, moving up. Lighting about even more. It's US data, by the way. Lighting scheduling, when you go to lunch, you can dim the lights automatically. And when you're not working, maybe have a meeting, your office light should be dimmed. With that, we can save 25%. This is my lab data. These are the possibilities. Next is, as I mentioned this already, supercritical steam power plant for Netherlands. This plant, 46.2% efficiency. Typically 42%, typically coal-fired. 4% more means 10% more energy for the same coal. That's the other option. If you have to build coal, it costs more money, but you are not adding to the CO2 load. And that's an example, 609 degrees centigrade temperature setting. Next is carbon capture storage. I just mentioned that. Direct air capture, we capture, then what do you do with it? To store somewhere. Usually abundant oil fields, gas fields, and so on. It's happening in Norway and a few other countries. Hydrogen and storage, I see the big batteries, and hydrogen can be a good fuel, not for storage only. You can run IC engine using hydrogen. I saw a taxi in Berlin 2 months ago, clean fuel, running a taxi IC engine like a gasoline car using hydrogen as a fuel. It can be done in your power stations also in lieu of fossil fuels. Next is renewables. This is data from Scotland. Globally, wind power is catching on. Europe is big, China is big, India is getting there. Indonesia, not much wind, but you can do some small scale wind turbines. That's wind. Next is solar, very important. People say solar takes space, and Indonesia, Malaysia don't have a lot of free space. What do? One example is rooftop solar. This I went in Kenya 2 months ago, government office building, every building has rooftop solar. Using that, they are using 26% less electricity from their power company. That means 26% less oil burning or whatever they do over there. So now nuclear, advanced nuclear technologies, including small reactors, which are modular. What is modular? You don't build a 1,000 megawatt plant right away. You build 60, 100 megawatt in batches, in groups, step by step, as demand grows. Example here. SMR, small reactor modular, built by a company called NewScale. Look at the size, 20 meter tall and 2.7 meter in diameter. Just get cylinder hole in the ground, build the hole, put it in there, seal it, done. 5 years, forget about it. Self-cooling, no risk of catching fire, self-cooling. And it is not big, 60 megawatt in this case. For many islands in Indonesia, these are the possibilities. Other than building diesel and other stuff in those cases. So this is nuclear. Next is cross-border energy transfer. I am very open, renewables, nuclear, coal, distributed and centralized. I get that. That's a reality. So here you see cross-border transfer. The IEEE, the agency in Paris, has programs called bilateral, multilateral, and unified energy transfer. What is bilateral? Indonesia, Malaysia can exchange. It's bilateral. It's happening now. Multilateral, power from Laos to Vietnam to Thailand to Malaysia. Multilateral. Unified Europe. Many countries in Europe are in one network. Buy and sell. One network. These are possibilities. See the red? No transition without transmission. You want to transition from coal to whatever. You have to move power from more hydro people like Laos in this case to Malaysia and Thailand. So that is important. So I'm not taking any position. Some are say only solar. Some say only coal. Some say only gas-based. As engineers, we must be flexible. Alternatives. So now some examples of cross-border power transfer. Very important data here. I was in Scotland for that picture I showed you. Scotland has a lot of opportunities offshore wind, North Sea, offshore wind. So government opened that offshore space for bidding how many megawatts of wind power can be built. They got offer up to 25,000 megawatts can be built in offshore wind turbines from Scotland. That's the supply. Demand only 6,000 megawatts, 2030. If demand is 6, supply is 25. What do? If you don't have demand, nobody buy that power, you put wind turbines sitting idle. So now they are building, look at this picture, links from Scotland to England, Scotland to Norway. 2 gigawatt line. Again, look at the people. Developed by National Grid and Scottish Network Transmission. It's private sector because they think they can make money by moving power back and forth. So example, again, in Middle East, Gulf countries, GCC, 6 countries from Kuwait all the way to Oman through UAE, Saudi Arabia, Bahrain, and Qatar. They have their link connected. 2 benefits. Because of the connections in systems, they can maintain less reserve for their own network. If you are short, buy from Saudi Arabia. Short from other things, buy from UAE and vice versa. In addition to that, it helps in dealing with intermittency from solar photovoltaics. In the Middle East, it's not rain or cloud, it's dust storm, little dust storm. You cover up the whole panel for a few hours and you lose 30, 40%. Dust storms would happen all over the place at the same time. Dust storms happen in Saudi Arabia, Riyadh, it doesn't happen in UAE. So if Saudi PV is slow because of dust storm, they'll buy from EOE. Still sunny in EOE at that time. There's the benefit of internal or contribution and connection. Example, one more. This is Bangladesh, India, and Nepal. They are building a network around India. Nepal has a lot of hydro potential, but no market. So they have to find a place to sell it. Now through Indian network, they sell to Bangladesh. It's happening today. Other benefit is seasonal variation. Nepal is a cool country in the mountains. They have no air conditioning, no needed. The demand is high in winter time for heating. India, Bangladesh, summertime load is high because of air conditioning. So in Nepal, you have extra power in the summer season. India needs more in summer season or winter. A very good match. It's not just solar and an issue of intermittency, issue of power transfer to make one dependent on the other, vice versa. So Nepal makes money in summertime because they are needed. India makes money by saving AC load. Okay, so one more example. This is more economic and business practice. More and more companies like Apple, Google, Microsoft in the US are saying they want to locate in countries with lower CO2 emission for power generation. New York State is buying power. This is 1,250 megawatts from Canada hydropower. By bringing Canadian hydropower to New York, they've avoided building a coal plant or an oil plant, 1,250 megawatts. That's the money issue or the PR issue. New York can say we are more carbon neutral now than before. So Apple can put your server in New York, not in our other place. That's the side benefit I would like engineers, policymakers from Indonesia to think about. Not just the energy part, it's PR part and economic benefit overall. So this is, I just mentioned this, Vietnam, north and south, not very well connected, not strong transmission lines. So Vietnam, rather than sending power from south to north, they're buying from, it's right here. They are buying from the Laos to make sure they are not leaving the north exposed to shortage. You can build your own line, expensive, buy cheaper from Laos in this case, and you are helping both sides. So now IEEE, what can we do? Our tagline is advancing technology for humanity. I saw this last 20 years. I don't know what that means. I told my colleagues, what does it mean? This is my meaning. We provide clean tech solutions for climate sustainability, meaning my 6-point solution, clean tech, no pollution load. That's how now the question is how I do this. We have built a website for climate change, IEEE website. The link is at the bottom, climate-change.iee.org, our website. It has a lot of data, lot of information, and the logo climate change we designed with a meaning. See, look at the climate, it's sinking in the water because of CO2. So let not sink too much, then the climate will be gone. The sinking climate is our website. So what is in the website? This is the landing page, first page. We see buildings, solutions, climate change mitigation, all of those ideas are there. Click on that buildings part, you see data on buildings. You see building best practices, all of that. This is the next page. We have built a library of IEEE articles dealing with climate change, global temperature rise, sea level rise, weather impact on agriculture. There are 7,000 articles on that website called IEEE Climate Change Collection, all there for you to use. Next is conferences. IEEE holds more than 2,000 conferences every year globally, 2,000. We go to the list of conferences, look at the title and the opportunity, and scan them and list those conferences which deal with climate change. Go to that page, see what is happening in your neighborhood, maybe ASEAN countries, maybe Australia, whatever it is. So then you find out what can you do as an author, as a conference presenter, or as a audience person to do this. So very important. We also have a newsletter summarizing what is going on today globally. That is by request. If you want that newsletter, comes out every month, go to the website, that page, name, first name, last name, and email address. That's how to do it. Then you'll be getting that newsletter every month when it comes out. So this is my ecosystem for IEEE's climate sustainability work. What do you do overall? As I said, conferences, publications, awareness building, newsletters. This page is a collage of things we do. Upper left is the article I mentioned, 6-point article is there, full article. You have in the middle, the main page with wind, solar, hydro, what's happening globally, electric vehicles also included. On the right is standards. We also do standards for climate change related topics. So this is it. That's my website. And just remind you, you'll see this if you go to that page. So take your time. At night, you're bored, nothing else to do. So go to that website. So I'll stop here and maybe take questions. Time for questions here. Okay, thank you very much. Thanks. Questions, comments. You can speak in Bahasa. I follow some Bahasa, not very much, but somebody can translate for me. Yeah, Japanese.
Professor, we also have some audience in Zoom,
Right.
so we can also invite the question from participant from Zoom meeting. Anyone has some question, please raise your hand. Or yes, we have one.
So go back to the Zoom screen. Go to Zoom here. You will see who is want to, yeah, Zoom screen.
So we have 52 participants in the Zoom.
About 40 or so here. Yes, sir, in the back. Question.
Wait a moment. I will give you the mic so the Zoom participant can hear your voice.
Thank you very much. My name is Iksan. I'm also a faculty member at Electrical Engineering, ITB. I agree with your suggestion that we should accept that nuclear is an option for a future clean energy source. About 5 years ago, a company from Norway approached our government to promote their technology, which is based on thorium. They say that it's safer, but the nuclear waste is less, and other advantages. But on the other hand, I see that there are only few nuclear power plants which use thorium. What is your opinion about this? Thank you.
Good question. Thorium is a new fuel for nuclear reactors. It's not used wide scale. Mainly uranium is used today, all the hundreds so nuclear power plants globally. So question is the following. If somebody comes in, offers you a thorium-based nuclear reactor, it's fine, but who will take the risk? You or them? That's the question. So you tell them, I give you 20% down, then you run it, it works, I give you 80% come later, not 100% upfront. So that's business. So I think it's a good opportunity, but it has not been widely used. So if they are confident it works, then they take some risk also. I had a meeting with PLN president director in Xiamen 10 days ago. The same thing came up. I said to him, tell you again, Norway comes in fine. Do not take that as a final answer. Ask France, ask US, ask China, ask Russia what they have. So unless you have good questions, you never get good answers. So this is my policy. Ask good questions. But to ask good questions, you must know what to ask. If you're educated, you have to have discussion internally, like PRIN is a good example, BPPT, PRIN. Then you got PLN, you got ITB faculty here. So have some national dialogue. What should we do? then you have a consensus, move on. If you have that consensus, they know what your target is. Like wind turbine business globally. To attract wind turbine developers, the countries do a survey. We call it wind resource survey. That is the market for the wind turbine people. They do a survey, then decide, can we make money or not? Then they come. So you have to do the same thing here. What is your need? How much nuclear can you accept? And what is your priority? Thank you.
Okay, thank you. We have one question. Just before, I will move to Zoom because one question from Zoom appear in the comment box from Herbert Lubis. He asked, Prof, nuclear SMR safety and certification in USA. Maybe he asked some experience in USA about the SMR. And how about the fission uranium? For example, the SMR in Kairos Power in Alameda. I think it's part of the US area, maybe.
No, US has no working SMR. Nobody has in the world. Nobody has it. Romania building 2 or 3 right now. US not building any. Technology under development. China has the ideas. That's the good point. You have these people designing SMR reactors. Romania has one example. Ask them, if we Indonesia want to build 50 reactors SMR, can you come here and build your technology here, not ship it from US, build it here. They will, market is big. So that's my way of saying you should think big, innovative, and attract interest from multiple countries. So US has no working SMR.
Okay, thank you. I think it's answered by Pak Herbert. So for the next, Pak Fabio and then Pak Indra. Please, Pak Fabio.
So thank you very much, Professor. Such an interesting presentation. First, I want to make a comment regarding your statement regarding, yes, we can use coal, but so long as you capture the carbon, because the sentiment for Indonesian government, it's not their policy yet, hopefully not in the future, but their sentiment is we have to stop using coal. Someday, but their sentiment is very aggressive. But
Right.
But my question is this: in the list of things that you state that we can do to stop climate change, you didn't mention about electrification of certain stuff. Or why is that? Is it because the electrification of, per se, transportation has less impact, or any particular reason that you do not put it in there? Thank you.
Good question. I did that on purpose. I want to stay focused on electric power generation business usage. Electrification is use business, not generation business. Other thing is, it's controversial. If you push EV too much, you have no infrastructure in Indonesia, even US, to supply power to the home. It doesn't exist. In the US, if we electrify all cars in 2030, we have to double the capacity, generation capacity. Double. Public won't accept it, will not. Double means more generation, more transmission, more substation, more transformers. Wouldn't accept it. So I don't think EV is the final answer. It has to be a mix. IC engine on hydrogen, fuel cell, and some EV. That's my approach. I'm sure I'll be right 10 years from now, but you're a young man, you'll find out.
Okay, thank you. Pak Indra, you have question, please.
Thank you. My name is Indra. For the coal, it's the main resources from in Indonesia, and majority of the power plant of using the coal. And if we need to shift from the coal, so it will cost a lot to Indonesia. And also, if there is a new direction, so what is the good direction for the coal power plant? Thank you.
Now, coal is an inexpensive fuel. China is even bigger than Indonesian coal usage, much bigger. They're also the biggest in the world on wind and hydro and solar. 1/3 of wind power in the whole world is from China, 1/3 today, replacing coal. But Chinese problem is different, maybe here as well. China says, if we shut down this coal plant, a social problem, not energy problem, social problem. People depend on their coal plant for jobs. There are shops around, laundry around, clean the coal miners' clothing. Social issue. That's why they keep their running. Slowly they take it out. So that's my point is, I'm not in a hurry to do it for the next 5 years. China has said they will stop growing coal usage by 2030, meaning that's not going up today. 2030, it will not go up anymore, slowly going down. That's a good example. It takes time to do that. Indonesia can do something like this. Why? Because if you say this road, show the roadmap, you'll attract investment from other governments, other private investors. You have a roadmap and stick to that. So that's the issue, the roadmap. I mentioned that before. Without that, you said government wants to slow down coal usage, but you must have a target. Which year and how you get there. Target is political. Application is engineering, how I get there. They'll get it, this is my target. Minister says that. I said, that's fine. I have to go back to my lab and my power people. Can I get there? What has to be done? Cost issue to get there. So your demand is growing, it will grow, but your supply has to be diversified. Other thing is, we had G20 last year. People came from all the big G20 countries. This Indonesia will reduce coal usage and get $20 billion to use solar. Fine, I asked PLN chief. He said, that's true, but no money came. So what do I do? So that is a political issue. Other thing is, I'll suggest strongly, I said that over dinner last night, Indonesia has to be in the forefront. It's a big coal consuming country, part of ASEAN. It has trained manpower. So how you can use the trained manpower to be globally relevant. There is a global climate change conference in Dubai beginning November 30th this year, so a month from now. Indonesia has a pavilion there. Indonesia goes there, talks about Indonesian economy, agriculture, mining, power, all of that. I was there last year in Egypt, same case, Indonesian platform. I didn't see any engineer there. I see economists, I see lawyers, government officials, not engineers. So I would suggest you have people you know quite well, make sure a couple of engineers, maybe PLN goes there and answer this question. What is the plan? If I am an American person, go to your pavilion, ask this question, what is your plan to decarbonize? They must have an answer. There are many banks are there, insurance people are there, many, 20, 30 banks. They also move around, look for opportunities for invest. So if you cannot answer that in a very crisp and clear way, they're not interested. So you're not in South Africa, same situation, a lot of coal. Vietnam, same situation. You're competing for attention, for investment in the global space. Tell you my advice to do that. To be patient, but stay focused. My target, how I get there. Okay?
Okay. We'll move to Zoom. Plenty question from Zoom. But Professor, do you want to take some water first?
No,
Or okay. So we will first from Mr. Warto. I think Mr. Warto has two questions. We will combine it. I interest in wind power plant because in Indonesia it has very long coastline. How about opportunity wind power compared to others? And could you scroll down because he has two questions? Let us combine. From Warto. Can it be said that wind power plants are the most environmentally friendly compared to others of the many renewable energy alternatives? According to Prof. Rahman, which one has the most negative impact on environment and society? He is from the UIN. UIN is the National Islamic University. From Purwokerto is a city in the central Jawa. So he has two questions.
Two questions. Typically, offshore wind is better than onshore wind globally. Typically, China example, Germany, India, US, all that. The problem is offshore wind is more expensive to build, about twice as expensive today's market. So it's your decision. I do not know the Indonesian wind regime on the coast. I have no idea. So if your wind regime is good on the land side, build there. provided public don't object. People see beach, they don't like wind turbines. They don't like it. In Virginia, we have studied that we have 3,000 megawatts of wind capacity offshore. People object, sea beach is very nice, a lot of tourists, they want to see wind turbines. What we did, we went out 40 kilometers out. Earth is curvature. You don't see it, even in binocular. Nobody even knows it's there. It's all fine. So you have to be sensitive to public perception and public pressure. And so do not just force, I'll do it because it's cheaper, because you have to live with it. So that's the first part.
First question, yes. The second question is which the renewable energy will give the most negative impact compared to others?
Depends on what you mean by negative impact. Wind, some years back, because of the turbine blades were metal blades, had some radio frequency issue of interference. That has been solved. All the blades are now fiberglass. Solar takes up land.
Yeah.
So takes up land means like in some parts of the US, they have no free land, agricultural land. So in Maryland state, the state law, you cannot build solar on agricultural land, cannot. That's a negative impact. But you go somewhere else. Same in Bangladesh, cannot take land which has growing rice to solar panels. So impact is different based on what is on the ground today. So those are my comments. Thank you.
Okay. So we will move to the next question from the Zoom participant after Pak Warto. This is from Yuda. Professor, I am Yuda Jayadikarta from Rumah Energy Foundation, focusing on the household biogas reactor program. I noticed from your presentation that you didn't touch on the biogas installation. In fact, in Bangladesh, it's proof that biogas adopter had higher per capita household incomes than non-adopter. What can we get from this opportunity?
Yeah,
Especially in
I
Indonesia?
did not talk about biogas on purpose. I don't share my dream with you. It's a dream. It's not real yet. You cannot build 10,000 megawatt biogas. It's not possible. Maybe 10 megawatt, 20 megawatt at the most. So those are small items. I talk about the big power sector, wind, nuclear, coal, solar, hydro, for that reason. Those are side issues. It is there, but well, maybe Antika knows better for BBBT. Biogas is there, but it's a very small amount. And not only that, palm oil. I'm talking about this in Malaysia. Palm oil waste can be used to make power in a power station. Challenge is palm oil waste has some organic material, can be burned for heat. You got to carry 1 million tons of palm oil waste to make 100 megawatt. It's not possible. No road, no trucks to get there. This is good wishful thinking. You can do in your village, but not all of Java Island. So I'm a practical man, an engineer. So I do talk about what I can do, not what you can do 50 years from now.
Okay. Okay, let's move on. Another question will be from Pak Burhanuddin, I think, the next one. Okay. Burhanuddin asks about Professor Rahman. Thank you for your interesting knowledge sharing. Regarding nuclear energy, what is your opinion about SMR compared to the floating nuclear power plant, especially for Indonesia, which is covered majority by water?
Well, that's nuclear. A good point. There is now barge-mounted floating reactor run by Russians, 200 megawatt in that range, barge in the water, barge-mounted. So this is not an issue. Question is, this has 20 meter deep, 2.7 meter diameter cylinder, put in a boat, no problem. No problem. Point is, boat must be stationary, so the transmission line has to move, and the wind, especially if you storm a situation. So barge mounted, not in this out open sea near the coast. It's possible.
It's possible.
Yeah.
Okay. So we alternate to the floor. We have one question from Pak Kevin and another question and 3. So I will ask Pak Kevin first because he already take the question.
Okay. Thank you, Professor Saifur Rahman. I have one question. I've heard that in Europe and America, The challenge of developing generating plants is to replace the capacity. It means you have electricity already, but you replace it into a more eco-friendly way. But in Indonesia, our challenge is to increase the capacity. That is why affordability becomes very important. So in your opinion, what is the optimal point for Indonesia? I mean, what is the technology which is cheap, but most eco-friendly? Thank you.
There are multiple answers to that question. One is cheap in what sense? Some countries can afford to spend money to produce electricity in an expensive way, like natural gas, even coal. Others cannot. So my point is, you have to think differently. To me, in this debate, dollar is not a currency anymore. CO2 is the currency. The objective is to minimize CO2. In the process, you have to spend a lot of money, then you cannot do it. So then you look at other options, including reducing demand through energy efficiency. So I'll give you options: coal, oil, hydro, nuclear, gas, solar. You have to, as I said before, have some dialogue internally involving academics, government, industry people, and then answer that question, what makes sense. I can just fly in from New York to here one day and they give you an answer. It's not possible. So do some collaboration. Okay, thank you. Next question.
Thank you.
Thank you, Prof. Rahman, for your interesting lecture. I just have a question. You mentioned 6 options to tackle this CO2 problems, yeah? And 5 of them discuss about energy supply. Okay, and 3 main cause for the CO2 and electrical power generation, transportation, industrial, and buildings. Actually, for me, the main problem is the human consumption for the energy. Yeah, because electric power generation always to meet demand, yeah, to meet the demand. But for me, we talk more serious about the electricity generation, and we do not take serious about the demand. And why? Maybe that's my question for you. For example, as you said in our beginning and this lecture, if we can reduce only 20% of this light energy, I think it will be, and all of the world can do the same behavior. It will give high impact to the energy, to the energy generation. How is your opinion about the demand? Because in fact, demand is manageable. Yeah, and in case like transportation, why we choose to use fuel combustion for 1 kilometer distance instead of 10-minute walking, for example. Yeah, thank you.
I was given a choice today. Kevin said, in the morning, a lot of traffic. So 5-minute drive may take 30 minutes in the car. I said, I'll walk. Distance 1.5 kilometers, I walk in 15 minutes. I chose to walk. Then he came in the morning, said no traffic, and with this dress, he might sweat. So that's the private issue. It depends on your choice. But I prefer to walk as opposed to using the car. You're right. Demand is the biggest challenge and easiest to solve. If I can save 20% by changing my habit, I burn 20% less coal. It's very simple. But that has to be in my family business, in my job, in my academic activities. So that will need to change. But you have to make sure that people understand the possibilities of reducing CO2 emission by changing habits. That has to be part of education to do that. And that will take some time, but we have to get started now. Like high school kids, children, if you put some in the curriculum, this idea that don't use light bulbs if you don't have to, walk as opposed to riding a car, take a train as opposed to plane, as an example, it gets in their head. And they will tell their parents that I heard that, what do you think? Then parents begin to think this is a possibility. It takes maybe 10 years, but it has to start at the elementary level. It's much easier to impress a young mind than somebody who's 50 years old. 50 years old, his mind is made up. It don't bother me, I know what to do. But her grandson may help change the grandma's thinking. Example, different example. US is not big in soccer, football, but women is, women world champion year. How did it happen? I'm in US since 1974. Beginning early 80s, World Cup, US didn't even qualify. They said, we don't go there. They began to teach young kids, girls, soccer. In the 80s, now he is world champion. The girls never thought they could play soccer. They start at a very young age. My daughter was at the time 7 years old. She played soccer because everybody did, becomes a style. So if you can do education part, impress upon the young minds what is possible, they will tell their fathers and mothers and grandparents. So that's my proposal as an educator. Education is the most effective force to change behavior. Do that. And I would suggest Indonesia, big country, you have good school system, be a leader. You put curriculum in the system which talks about this. Then Malaysia, Vietnam, other countries will use it.
How about the demand? He asked about interfering the demand instead of the source. What
No, as I said, demand is, as I said, this is demand first.
Okay. Yeah.
All that example I gave you, demand first. Then talk about supply.
Yeah.
You're right. Yeah.
Okay.
That's my number one was demand in
Yes.
my list.
Okay.
Okay, thank you for the opportunity. And I'm very interested with power transfer topic, but my question is about power transfer for a whole Indonesian power system, which is we know it hasn't been integrated the one yet. And because as we know, Indonesia is an archipelago state, with each island is separated by sea, and that's become problem. My question is, if we were to develop the power transfer, your proposed idea on integrating the system, what do you think the technology should we focus on developing? And also, if I'm not mistaken, professor said that it is cheaper to build transmission system than building power generation. But in this case, is for undersea transmission still cheaper? But if not, is there any technology that we could be developed? Yes, that's my question. Thank you.
When you're a young woman, I want you to think differently. Do not focus on the problem. Focus on the solution. So we have so many islands, how can you do it? Don't talk that way. We have this, God gave you this island. You cannot change it. How can you make it work for you? One is undersea cable. Depending on the distance, like in Penang, they take the power from the mainland on a bridge. So you have those options. In Indonesian case, you can link some bigger islands using undersea cable. Then you have a bigger network. You have to then not build diesel everywhere. So some bigger islands can have generation equipped with nuclear. Some have no generation. They get supply from the neighboring bigger island undersea cable to get them. Switzerland has, sorry, New Zealand, same thing, New Zealand. Big island, small island, undersea cable is there. My point is learn what's going on, then ask questions, and then say what ideas can be implemented in Indonesia, given your unique situation. Okay, so be a part of the solution, not repeat the problem. Thank you.
Thank you. So we will move to the Zoom again. I think we have 2 or 3 more in the Zoom. After Professor Burhanuddin, we have a question from Professor Ismail. Dear Prof, how do you think global energy management to manage carbonization in the world fairly? The green energy generation should exist in developing countries too, that the carbonization problem become all countries' problem. Thank you. Prof.
That's happening already today. As I said, China developing country. 1/3 of global renewable capacity is in China. In fact, US, EU, I have talked about it. They have not enough land mass in Europe, especially to do onshore wind. Doing offshore wind, like Scotland example I gave you. Solar, Germany is saturated on the ground, saturated, no more. They're going wind right now. So again, this needs a global discussion, and every country has a role to play. I give you 6-point solution for power sector. Out of that, I was in Singapore a few months ago. They said they can do 5 of the 6, except nuclear. It's up to you. You can do all 6, hopefully. So you have this question here. You can play a role given your situation, especially so many islands spread around. You look at right now, diesel, and Enrique knows very well, diesel, oil, diesel, solar, and wind. Talk about that. Maybe nuclear could be a possibility, but nuclear is too big. I mean, not 60 megahertz. It's not 1,000 megahertz. That's the benefit of small advanced reactors, modular, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 100 megahertz. Okay, next question on the Zoom.
Next question on the Zoom. From from Riandi. What is your opinion or priority for battery storage, H2, nuclear, or other technology from the safety issues?
The different things. One is supply, one is storage. Nuclear supply, storage is hydrogen or battery. So lithium-ion battery, as I said, not very safe. The other batteries, lithium phosphate, sodium batteries, flow batteries coming up. So those are technologies we should look at carefully. And nuclear is a solution which is available today because of the small reactors, which are not as risky to operate. That's my answer right now. One more from the chat box.
Not.
That's it, right?
That's it. Should we offer for another question to the audience, or okay? Anyone has another question to be discussed? Or in the Zoom participant want to talk directly? Or one question from the front of the floor, please.
Okay, thank you, Prof. Saifur Rahman, for the your presentation. Previously, you mentioned also about the education or the curriculum. So, do you have any what you recommend for our curriculum, especially in our side is the power engineering about the climate change? So, how we can adapt fastly, I think, for the climate change. Thank you.
Good question. It has to happen in multiple levels, from elementary school to university. Some universities have courses now on climate change. India has that, I know that, climate change. So you can look at them, how they're managing climate change course in their curriculum. I teach a course on renewable energy. Part of that is climate change. This topic is there. Similarly, IEEE has education board program called Try Engineering. It's a website, tryengineering.org. That has content for pre-university students, high school teachers, and university students. Content is there. You're right. Anytime a new idea comes in, school teacher ask teacher where to teach from. No textbook. Go to Try Engineering, has a page on climate change. A lot of content there. You can even contribute your school curriculum idea on that website so other countries can follow. In fact, there is a section on the on the website, Try Engineering, about dialogue between teachers. So engage with the activities. It's a global, it's all you need is your laptop and your web address. Tryengineering.org, there's a web address. Into that. All right, thank you.
Thank you. Anyone? Anyone has some question from the Zoom participant also, please? You can raise your hand, open your mic. Yes,
please,
of course, Pak Andika.
You can answer some questions.
Okay. Thank you very much for the opportunity. It's really very happy to have here, Dr. Rahman. I have a question about, you have explained about the many markets, electrical system in the world and how they adapt for the new way to entering the energy transition. But here, I think you have already learned that Indonesia has a monopolistic market structure and very regulated market structure. Do you think this is a benefit as a monopolistic and heavily regulated market electricity structure, or it is a challenge in adapting this kind of technology? We BPPT has run many technology, but when it's scaling up, then it has some problem in that market structure. Thank you very much.
I'm very careful how I say this because PLN is a big player here, and they are thinking along these lines also. I talked to the president director of nuclear and solar. Typically, the countries which have been successful in promoting renewable in large scale have given this responsibility to somebody else, not the national power company. Bangladesh example, India example, and German example do that. But that's a political decision. What do you want to do? In two examples were contrary, opposite examples. In Pakistan, very sunny, more than Bangladesh. Government gave the responsibility to the local national power company, WABDA, to do this job. They did the best they could, and they may put 50,000 solar homes in that range. Bangladesh created a new agency, not their power company. They built 5 million solar homes. 5 million is 50,000. That's the difference. But that is a government decision to realize that you cannot have the same big thinking people talk about 100-watt systems. It's just psychology. You talk about 100 megawatt systems. So I think, look at that carefully. What is the objective? And do not assume the local national power company will be automatically the best agent to make it happen. My advice, based on examples I've seen globally. Okay, in the back question. Yes, sir.
Please wait. I will bring in the mic for you.
Thank you. Hello, Professor. My name is Haris. I'm from ITB. My question is, what about the economic challenge for developed country like Indonesia for sustainable energies? Because it is like to coin contrast. If we want to reach the sustainable goal, we have to spending more on energy for renewable energy because energy infrastructure is not cheap to build for the sustainable goals. But also in Indonesia is developed country need to grow more in economics. Thank you.
No, there's no debate about that issue. You need to grow, no question. How you grow. If you look at the global market today, especially Middle East, it's much cheaper in the Middle East to build solar plants than diesel or oil or even coal. They have not much coal. So all I'm saying, keep your various options open. Don't start with a no. You say start with a no. Your question was with the answer to the no. Don't start with the no. This is my challenge. study what is happening globally and see what makes sense for me. I hear this all the time. We're a developing country, we cannot use except coal. That is okay, but now there are many opportunities. And with CO2 issues, it'll be a serious issue now. You said when they buy steel from Asian countries, they'll add the CO2 load on the steel price. Then you are stuck. Can't sell the steel anymore. If you say, I have cheap coal, but they cannot sell it, what's the point? So keep those things in mind. So, yeah, like in EU especially, it's coming up 27. They'll put tariff on steel made from coal plants. Price will go up automatically. So that's the thing, as I say, build a consensus, academics, industry, government, students, have some discussions. Could be a workshop here at ITB, invite government people, invite PRIN, invite PLN, and see what's going on. But don't start with a no. Okay, don't start there. Challenge, learn from other countries, and the possible risk if you don't do something today, like steel will not be bought from you anymore. That's the thing. All right, thanks. Yes.
Okay, please.
So yeah, I just remembered this. So I want to ask this question because when I go to a conference in Korea, Professor De Donkri said, we do not have enough copper. Supposedly, we're going to build this much wind turbine. We do not have the copper, so we have to think about how to properly use copper. And then, of course, if we want to build new transmission, new renewable source, we are going to need some rare earth material, which is not easily available. What do you think of this problem? Thank you.
That's an example with electric vehicles also. The lithium and nickel doesn't, if you have the whole world transportation, electric is not possible. Not enough materials available. I said earlier that it's not going to happen. Not only lithium issue, public pressure. I don't want to see all these lines in my neighborhood. I don't hear coal plant, transformers. I don't want it. What do you do? So that's the thinking. So keep the options open. Many countries say EV is my final solution. Electrification, somebody asked this question. It's not going to happen. You'll electrify your heating system before you electrify your car. England has a rule now, UK, that beginning 2025, they will not sell any boilers anymore for home heating. Not sold. And 2028, not even parts will not be available. Old ones, gone. 25, no new ones, except heat pumps, no boilers. That's happening. That's a market that is not hurting anybody's plan. Yes, they'll cost money for those people. In UK, they said they'll give some subsidy for people to build heat pumps, price difference, boiler, heat pump. More, they get some money to buy the heat. US government, the infrastructure law, President LePage has this money in the budget to do that. So again, think broadly and do not see we are on the receiving end always. We can also give the world some ideas as example we can build on. Okay, all right.
Okay.
Thank you.
So this is already 11 a.m. here. Is there any question? I think we can stop the discussion here. Please give very big applause for Professor Saifur Rahman for very nice presentation and even more the discussion. Very, very nice. So we still have two agenda here. The first one is the token of appreciation for Professor Rahman from the School of Electrical Engineering and Informatics. And the second one is the last but not least, we have to take a group photo. So please stay just a moment. For the token of appreciation, I would like to invite Professor Suwarno for hand over to Professor Saifur Rahman. Bisa dibuka mungkin? Yang dua-duanya Pak, ini yang ada yang ini plakat apa teks? Kalau bagus. Oh ini batik, itu yang kecil. Kameramen.
From our school.
Ambilin foto.
Okay, thank you very much.
Wait a moment. Picture first.
Oh, sorry. Picture first.
Okay, thank you. Thank you. Yeah, another one.
Another one for me. Wow. I suppose batik because you were.
Yeah.
Hold on a second. Okay.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. So
A picture.
now picture, we will take from here to that. So Professor Saifur Rahman can sit in the middle, and please go forward so we can make some packed audience. Please go forward. We will take picture from this position to the back of